Hi, good afternoon. Okay, let's begin. Welcome to this segment of the first ever Belize National Research Conference 2018, entitled Strategic Teaching Approach to College Algebra in a Belizean Context. I'd first of all like to thank all the organizers. It gives me great pleasure to be up here because this is new for me, but I feel, in a sense, fulfilling my purpose as a young teacher in search of bettering the education system here in Belize. The presentation has a threefold purpose. First, it's to inform an academic audience, you guys, about an ongoing research project in math education at a tertiary level institution of Belize. To fulfill the requirements, this is the second purpose, of a master's program at the University of Havana in the teaching of math. And three, to receive feedback from the audience on my thesis. I'd like you to consider the following situation and question throughout the presentation as an overall guide. So I'd ask for your undivided attention. Please remember the situation and this particular question. It's very short. Suppose you had to use a strange tool for an important job. How could you best understand the tool and its use? I'll repeat it again. The situation, suppose you had to use a strange tool for an important job. How could you best understand the tool and its use? The title of my research, shaped by this question and my personal philosophy on education, is Didactical Strategies for the Use of History of Mathematics in the Teaching of College Algebra at SJC, which is St. John's College Junior College of Belize. My name is Amir Juarez. I didn't forget that. I'm your presenter. My education philosophy is that educational growth is achievable, is attainable by every student. And it requires the teacher to organize the natural, social, and essential process that it is. Let's take a look at my educative reality in relevance to the research. St. John's College Junior College is a Jesuit institution formed in 1887, consisting now of a high school and junior college. Junior college is the equivalent of sixth form, or the first 2 years of university. It depends on where you are, but that's more or less the level. It is grounded in the liberal arts education philosophy, which means that it boasts a classic structure, coming from the Greek that they believe in the oral expression, the mathematical structure, and the musical component. Arts. In the junior college, there are 5 teachers with the experience of teaching college algebra, a first semester course for math majors, and a precursor to Calculus 1. The following image, there on your left-hand side, is meant to be seen as a pun. If you can make it out, it's a hurricane, and it's threatening Belize. But also we can see some geometric mathematical shape there, right? The pun is that there exists a tangible storm in the education system of Belize at all levels, like what my esteemed colleague pointed out in assessment in different dimensions of didactics. And also, it probes the age-old thought of mathematical maths modeling reality. We can use math to model reality. And also using nature to understand what mathematics is. So it goes both ways. This problem of not understanding mathematics is regionally confirmed in a report of the International Mathematical Union on challenges and opportunities in the development of mathematics in Latin American and Caribbean countries. That was written in 2004. And it states, quote, "A common feature of the region is that there is not necessarily a connection of mathematics to everyday life, nor an intention to link culture with mathematics. In the media, they comment about the low achievements of students in government and regional exams, like what, going back to my colleague's discussion earlier. And that's why I see it as a chain reaction, because it exists in the primary school, it gets worse in the secondary, and when you reach the tertiary, like the junior college, then we have an enormous problem. Not necessarily the student's fault, nor the teacher's fault, but we have a problem that is needed, that needs addressing. Some general problems of this reality, particularly in the education system, and in learning maths, are that the tertiary system contains no declared pedagogy, despite and maybe due to the fact that there are three big influences in our education system. One was because of our historic, sorry, these words are in Spanish, the historic origins of our country. We get it from the British, and the British have their own structure. And because Belize is so young, we didn't have professionals, and we still don't to a certain extent, that understand and can adapt the pedagogies used in the system in our context to make it live for the students. Also, we have been influenced by the Americans through, for example, in my institution, the Jesuits. They come with their own philosophy of education, their own systems and structures, which again is not good nor bad, but it's not contextualized for Belize. And a third entity that influences us in the education is the Caribbean Council. Now that is more contextualized, but they don't declare pedagogy. They send content. They send syllabus, curriculum. And there is no formal declaration of what pedagogy should be followed. And that is an important aspect of teaching, because it sets the ground for teaching from a science-based perspective. Another problem is that the absence of formation workshops for professionals, for teachers to professionally excel in the teaching practice exists. We do not have that formally structured, and I think my colleague again brought that out, so it's no new news, but it creates a real problem. Another problem would be the poor understanding of content on the part of the student. they usually come from the secondary with weaknesses. So there is lots of time spent and lost in the classroom when the teacher has to bring them back to the level of expectation that they should have come with. A fourth problem is this skeptical view of mathematics as an interdisciplinary subject. We have time and again heard that mathematics is just numbers, it's just rules, and it has no connection to reality. How can you connect arts, for example, to maths? How can you connect history to maths in a Belizean context? How can you connect all the other disciplines? The fifth element, the problem, would be little knowledge is known on the parts of the students, but also on the parts of the teachers. So where did I source the following conclusion from? From the Department of Education of Belize on their website, from UNESCO Global Monitor Report, from shared professional views of surveys and interviews that I've conducted with my colleagues and with other math teachers from various tertiary institutions. Upon analyzing the St. John's College Academic Bulletin from its website, which contains the vision and mission, the following fundamental contradiction was observed with regards to the research. In the actual state, there is absence of didactical strategies. Now, why focus on didactical strategies? Because it is a practical area that I find I can change. It is what may produce results. It is not only theoretical, it has a huge practical dimension to it that reaches as far as evaluating if it's implemented correctly and reorganizing the strategy. The desired state is that we want a declared didactical strategy. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. That is pedagogically grounded, that use the history of mathematics in the teaching learning process of college algebra at St. John's College. This takes us to the problem in question form that I designed, that I came up with, and is expressed as how do I contribute to the teaching learning process of the subject college algebra at St. John's College Junior College. And my objective of the investigation is to design didactical strategies that use the history of mathematics in the teaching of the subject college algebra at St. John's College Junior College, Belize City. Now, why did I choose math? I'd just like to take a brief pause and ask you to participate in this sense. Does anybody remember the situation and the question that I asked, that I gave you earlier? Just by a raise of hand. Reword? Yes. Do you remember? No, I asked, does anybody remember the previous, what we started with, the situation and the question that I asked? Does anybody? Yes. How do you use a tool for an important problem and the question that leads to an... No, but I'm not asking you to answer it. I'm just asking you for the situation and the question. The question is, how do you use... Yeah, how do you understand the tool and its use for an important job, right? Because you have that. Very good, excellent. Good, so we are listening. Keeping that in mind, let's continue. Why did I choose using the history of mathematics to teach mathematics? Seems strange. It's definitely not for fashion purposes, as you can clearly see there. These guys are all out of touch. The first reason I'd like to point out is that it is globally supported and by science. The formation of the International Commission of Mathematical Instruction was originated in 1908. And after being established and looking at the recommendations of professors all over the world, they opted for a study group, an international study group on the relation between history and the pedagogy of mathematics. And this group of study continues quaternally, every 4 years, and they report on recommendations and what doesn't work, what works. 16 countries actually officially have this approach to teach mathematics, including Argentina, Austria, Japan, Holland, Singapore, Poland, Brazil, US, China, France, Italy, among others. The other reason is that it is an inexhaustible source of knowledge. From history, we can take different perspectives from different cultures, we can take different methods, we can take different errors that were committed historically. It's an inexhaustible source of teaching the content. The other one is that it's a medium to link the concrete to the abstract. Many students complain that when the teacher of mathematics talks, it's just about in the air or in the imagination. And history is one of the ways that we can use to connect the two. What is in our reality that we know from history to what was expressed in the genius's mind. It is said that the mathematical concepts came from a practical view of the world, where the mathematical geniuses and the ones who are responsible for creating these concepts had an abstract touch to what was a concrete problem, a practical problem. And therefore, the teacher's job is to do the reverse, is to recontextualize the abstract context and show the students how these mathematical content have meaning to the students and the culture that they are raised in. It facilitates content understanding, and I bold that because that is the specific area that I would like to concentrate on in my research. That has it been proven that using the history of mathematics to teach mathematics can actually increase the understanding and performance of students at junior colleges. And there's not much concrete evidence, empirical evidence. They're more theoretical evidence. But there is one particular one that caught my eye, that there was an experiment of using history of algebra in teaching college algebra in 2002 at Black Hills University, and it showed that a consistent 10% of the various classes where the strategy was implemented performed better than the control group, which had no historical approach. The methodological also, using the history of mathematics makes math more relatable. It shows errors, the context, and the nature of the people. It also shows the gradual process that these concepts took to evolve. It shows the students that it did not happen overnight. We next move on to the methodological strategies used in the research, and I chose to use mixed approaches that consisted of the quantitative and qualitative methods by stages. The first stage is the diagnostic stage, and in there I characterize the actual state of the teaching learning process of college algebra, and I did this by reviewing over the dean's report. I did this by analyzing the evaluation of the students of their courses, the college algebra courses that is done semestrally. And the second stage would be the elaboration of didactical strategies and projection of workshops for the preparation of college algebra teachers. We now reach the problems of the educative reality. And there again, I put that picture, and the association is that there exists. We naturally rely on mathematics, and we can naturally identify mathematics in everyday life. Some of the problems that exist in my educative reality, or in other words, the institutional environment, is that teaching is not guided by scientific principles. There is an absence of studies in didactical strategies, and only half the majors actually pass the course. Unpreparedness on the part of teachers and helping students with below expectation level, and we focus on accomplishing the regional exam key. All right, I'll momentarily. There is a quote by an International Commission president, and he said that in addressing teachers, that in the first place, it is about getting in touch with the reality that has given rise to mathematical concepts we want to explore with our students, for which we must know an in-depth the historic context that framed these concepts. And that was gotten from a Cuban author. The structure of the thesis is structured in 3 chapters: the introduction, the elaboration of the history, the theory of the history, using history, and finally the evaluation of the design of the strategy. Pedagogy, it basically consists of it's a science that deals with the teaching learning processes and the rules and principles that govern it. In pedagogy is found didactics, and in didactics is found the strategy, and in the strategy is found tactics. Sorry, I'm pressed for time. Some proven didactical strategy are active learning, cognition activation, directed teaching instruction. Some of the didactical tactics with mathematical history is to link current and classical maths, to assign investigative tasks, use explanation from history, contextualize the development of algebraic themes, use anecdotes to consider the gradual evolution of algebra. Here's my bibliography, and this is the calendar of the investigation. In March, I chose a theme. I got some help from tutors, and I had one seminary in December in the school. I had a symposium on the 15th of December, an international in Cuba, and in February, I formed a group chat with the same teachers involved, and we had our first workshop on pedagogy, and the National Research Conference, which is today, and I plan to do a pre-defense of the thesis in March. Just to put a picture on the face of what I'm conducting my research, those are my colleagues and my tutors above. Thank you very much.
Thank you.